The Minnesota Vikings once again are at a crossroads, just like they were at the end of the 2019 season. After 2 years of Kirk Cousins being signed to be the final piece of the Minnesota Vikings puzzle, they had a decision to make. Is it time to pivot and move off Cousins, get rid of some of the legacy players, maybe make some trades, or should we just run it back like we always do? Well, the Vikings decided to run it back. Their biggest acquisition that season was the trade of Yannick Ngakoue, only to trade him away 6 weeks later, realizing that it just wasn't a good fit. Once again, the San Francisco 49ers and Trey Lance in particular have been brought to the table in discussions about what the Vikings should do. It's not outlandish to say, let's extend Kirk Cousins. It's also not outlandish to say that they should trade Kirk Cousins. Now, San Francisco is the obvious landing spot. Kyle Shanahan has been enamored with Kirk Cousins for forever. In fact, he wanted him and not Jimmy Garoppolo. And at the end of it, Kirk Cousins fits exactly what San Francisco needs right now. They had how many quarterbacks? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, and then the NFC Championship game, they had their fourth string quarterback, only for him to get injured and have to go back to an injured third string guy. And Kirk Cousins, for whatever you want to think about him, is always in the game and has never missed a game due to injury. He's exactly what the San Francisco 49ers need. San Francisco is a perfect landing spot for Kirk Cousins if he wants to win a Super Bowl. That team's close. The Vikings aren't. That team has maneuverability. This team doesn't. If Kirk Cousins might have been offended by asking him to waive his no-trade clause, he's going to go to a team and a coach that has wanted him for years, and a team that is in a better position to win a Super Bowl. It's already ready built. You don't have to think about, well, can we improve this defense or can we get a better offensive line? No, check and check. San Francisco's got both of those. At the end of the day, is Deebo Samuel and Run DMC as good a combination as Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook? Probably not. I would put Jefferson first and I put Dalvin fourth. But at the end of it, Kirk Cousins would be very, very successful in San Francisco. I've said it a million times on this channel that if Kirk Cousins was the quarterback in 2019 for the San Francisco 49ers, they absolutely still go to the Super Bowl and go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. And maybe they actually even win that game. Don't know. But it just makes too much sense. The San Francisco 49ers have had too many injuries at the quarterback position, have had too much instability there to not consider Kirk Cousins. As far as the Vikings go, yeah, they could re-sign him, smooth out a salary cap hit again, but then it'd have very little flexibility to do what they need to do to actually put a team around him to take full advantage of his skills. Listen, I'm going to say for the 18th million time, Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback. Not an elite quarterback, but a very good quarterback. But he does need things around him as much as anybody else would. Every quarterback in this league needs stuff around him. But we know what his ceiling is. His ceiling is around the division round of the playoffs. And that's okay. He's hardly the only quarterback in the NFL to be that. Look at guys like Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff when he's not on his rookie contract, amongst many others. It just is what it is. You can construct a roster in many different ways. But the simple truth is, since 2009, the Vikings have gone to the playoffs with Christian Ponder. Now, he wasn't the driving force, but the roster was built up around him to where they at least could get to the wild card round of the playoffs. Win again with Teddy Bridgewater after winning a division. Lost again in the wild card round of the playoffs, although that wasn't really his fault. Thank you, Blair Walsh. Went to the NFC Championship game with Case Keenum. A little bit of a lightning in a bottle, miracle play, etc. You're telling me that Kirk Cousins is the only quarterback that can lead this team to the playoffs? No, he's not. You can get there in many different ways. But what do all these teams have in common for the Vikings? They have a ceiling of the divisional round of the playoffs. And once every 10 years, they squeak through and get to an NFC Championship game. And if you're going to get rid of players like, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, maybe Harrison Smith, why not get rid of Kirk Cousins too? I'm not saying that because I think he's the problem. He's not the problem. There is something to be said about taking your lumps, clearing the decks of dead salary cap money, older players, and starting again. You hired Kevin O'Connell to be an offensive-minded head coach that was a quarterback whisperer. This time last year, what were we saying? Well, Kevin O'Connell will be able to unlock things in Kirk Cousins that Mike Zimmer and all of his offensive coordinators couldn't do. Great. So you're telling me that there's no chance that a guy like a Trey Lance can't be improved upon by Kevin O'Connell? I'm sorry. I'm not saying that I'm absolutely in love with the idea of Trey Lance as my quarterback, but I'm in love with the idea of a young quarterback that isn't making market value. And for anybody that wants to say, well, you only got a year or two before you got to make a choice. So what? What's wrong with that? So you bring Trey Lance in here. He's either going to be garbage, he's going to get to the same level that Kirk Cousins is, or he's going to be better than Kirk Cousins is. If he's just okay, you've got a couple of years where you can use the franchise tag at him to evaluate him for another year or two. And if he ultimately ends up deserving less than a market value contract because he's just okay, well, now you still got more salary cap room to spend on the rest of the team. And if he ends up requiring market value, that means you found another quarterback who is younger. Yes, doesn't quite have all of the skill sets that Kirk Cousins does, but he also has skill sets that Kirk Cousins doesn't. So it just makes too much sense. What do you think? But should the Vikings trade Kirk Cousins for Trey Lance? Should they trade him for somebody else? Should they extend him? Should they just write out his contract and then say goodbye to him and get nothing in return? Leave your comments below. Hit this button. Hit this button. And for now, skol. Until the next episode.